Okay, welcome back, guys, to the second session. You guys took the monkey's paw quiz with the vocab. Thank you for being on time and for submitting it on time. Thanks. All right, today we're going to read chapter 16 and we're going to analyze it and we're going to understand it
Mrs. Mina.
together. Okay, so if you guys open up your PDFs, or I'm going to also share it on the screen.
Mrs. Min, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you on.
Uh, I think the problem that I sent it through, I highlighted them through Microsoft and you actually opened them through your phone. So I think the problem is that,
If I open them from a PC, it'll be different.
yes,
Okay, I'll try
because
that
I
when I get
tried to
home.
open it through my phone, so it's not highlighted. And when I opened it through laptop, it's highlighted because I opened it through Microsoft.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, as soon as I get home, I will do that. Okay, so let's get our stuff open. Okay, for chapter 16, and let's take notes. Remember, this is important.
Miss, I had a question, but it doesn't have to do with the novel right now.
Sure, tell me.
In earlier in the class before like the winter break, we
Yeah.
were going to make the grammar quiz, but we decided to go as written in the schedule. But we will add another chapter because we didn't take chapter 5.
Right, we didn't take chapter 5 yet. The quiz is scheduled for the grammar quiz is scheduled for which day?
Next Sunday.
January 10.
January
Yeah.
10th.
Yes.
This is going to be next Sunday. Okay, so what are we gonna do is that we might focus only on taking it on chapter 4 without the addition of chapter 7.
Okay.
Okay, so it'll
So
be
it will
only
be
complements:
so it will
direct
be
object, indirect object, predicate nominative, and predicate adjective.
it will be still next Sunday, but on chapter 4 only, right?
Yes,
Okay, thank
or
you.
do you want me guys to postpone it?
Yeah,
Anything.
sure.
احنا مش عايزين خالص اصلا.
Yeah, sure.
Remember, you guys have to have a total of 6 quizzes for the term.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Oh,
things
six.
happening in it.
Okay, you know what? Let's talk on the group so that we can save time now for the session. Okay?
Miss
So-
Yasmin, there are people in the waiting room.
Oh,
in,
yeah.
في Zoom.
Let's see. Yes, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with chapter 16. Let's pick up our novels so that we can have that with us. And let's follow, and also have your notebooks ready for note taking. The first thing is this chapter is called The Haircut. And what is one thing that we mentioned? Who could tell me about the people in the concentration camp? Remember, this was a male concentration camp. What do we realize about the males regarding hair for the males on this concentration camp? Hannah, Hamdi.
That they're all bald and they
Good
don't
job.
have hair.
Good job, yes. So they required males to shave their head bald. This is a part of their routine upon entering the concentration camp. They place them, they take away all their possessions. Remember how Bruno mentioned that his watch, actually Shmuel, was mentioned that his watch was taken away that his father had gifted him. And he also mentioned that his clothes were stripped away and they were given these striped pajamas. Okay, so this is important to remember. regarding their physical appearance. Men and little boys in the concentration camp were all shaved and they were all bald. So it had been almost a year since Bruno had come home to find Maria packing his things, and his memories of life in Berlin had almost faded away. All right, so now we see that time has moved. All right, now Shmuel, now Bruno. All right, so Bruno. All right, so we see that time has passed, and now it's been So it's been a year since he moved to Atwith, and we already know that Bruno has grown accustomed to his life in Atwith, and we are also know that whatever it is that's making his stay a little bit more tolerable is the fact that he has Shmuel and he has someone to speak with and a friend that is a secret. Okay, we need to remember that he's a secret that no one knows about Shmuel except for Bruno. All right, this is something that he shares with himself. So everything about Berlin itself has faded away. He even mentioned that the only thing that he remembers about one of his friends is that he was a ginger. And we said a ginger is a color hair for his friend. When he thought back, he could remember that Carl and Martin were two of his three best friends for life, but try as he might, he couldn't remember who the other one was. So he forgot about Daniel's name. And then something happened that meant that for 2 days he could leave Outwith and return to his old house. Grandmother died,
Why?
and the family had to go home for the funeral. So you guys remember the last contact that he had with his grandma was through what? Nano, can you please remind us? When was the last time that Shmuel had contact with his grandma? Sorry, when was the last time Bruno contacted his grandma? Nano?
On the Christmas.
It was not Christmas.
في
That was the last
الفيونرال
time that
باين
he
حاجة
saw
كده.
grandma.
Um,
What was the last
لا.
contact between Bruno and his grandmother? What was it? Reem.
Miss, can you make Judy وكده enter because there are
When
people. I entered.
he wrote for her a letter.
I can't hear you, Reem.
When he wrote for her a letter.
Exactly. Good job. He had written her a letter, if you guys remember, where he expressed all his feelings about Berlin and how, about Outwith, and he described the concentration camp and the gates and the fences. All right. And he told her about the people in the striped pajamas. All right. This was the last time that he had contacted grandma. So to attend grandma's funeral, where are they returning? They're returning back where, Fadia?
Oh, they're going back to Berlin, their own
Good
house,
job. For how long?
because Sorry.
For how long are they going back to Berlin? Fadia?
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Judy?
2 days.
Good job. Okay, so they're returning back to Berlin for 2 days. And again, why are they going back to Berlin? Why are they going back to Berlin? Ahmed, Rashwan, please. Ahmed,
Yes.
can you please explain to me why is Bruno and his family returning back to Berlin? Hannah Hamdi?
They will go to Berlin to attend grandmother's funeral.
Okay, good. So grandma passed away. Of course, course, as he returns back, we understand that Bruno goes back older, more mature than he left Berlin. Okay. While he was there, Bruno realized he wasn't quite as small as he had been when he left because he could see over things that he couldn't see over before. If you guys remember in the beginning, there was a room up in the attic where he said that he had to tiptoe. He had to stand on his tippy toes so that he would be able to see the view of the entire Berlin from that window. So now he realizes that he could see over without having to tiptoe. And when they stayed in their old house, he could look through the window on the top floor and see across Berlin without having to stand on his tiptoes. And this was one of the things that he was looking forward to because he wanted to return there more grown physically and even taller. Do you guys remember why he wanted to go? Wanted to return back to Berlin taller? Why did he want to go back to Berlin taller? Why, Maya?
Because his sister friends always bully him for being like short, so he wanted to to prove them wrong to be taller.
Exactly. Good. He wanted to go back taller so that his sister Griddle's friends have nothing to pick on him for because of his height. All right. So the difference Bruno realizes about himself is that he's what he has physically grown. He's not the same small kid that he was. All right. He's taller. Okay. He could see the view of Berlin from the upstairs window without tiptoeing. All right, so this is what he realizes about himself. All right, Bruno had not seen his grandmother since leaving Berlin, but he had thought about her every day. Okay, and this was the time that Neno mentioned, which was the day of the Christmas party, where the fight broke out between Bruno's grandma and his father Ralph. Okay, the things he remembered most about her were the productions, the plays that they constructed, if you guys remember, on every party, the play that grandma would put together and the costumes that she would put together for him and Griddle to wear, and the poem that he recited at the end of each production. And he and Griddle performed at a Christmas and birthdays, and how she had always had the perfect costume to suit whatever role he played. These are some things that we discussed before about how Bruno and Grandma bonded, okay, or how they got along so well. When he thought that they would never be able to do that again, it made him very sad indeed. The 2 days they spent in Berlin were also very sad ones. There was the funeral, and Bruno and Griddle and father and mother and grandfather sat in the front row, father wearing his most impressive uniform, the starched and pressed one with the decorations. Father was particularly sad. Mother told Bruno because he had fought with grandmother and they had not made up before she died. All right, so when grandma died, she died when she was still angry and she was still upset with her son Ralph. So that would make Ralph, of course, feel very disappointed. So why, if you put yourself in Ralph's position, uh, what are some? Does he feel? Would he feel guilty, and why? Can someone explain Ralph's guilt, or what is the reason behind Ralph being more than sad? He feels sad, of course, that he lost his mother, but why would his feelings of sadness be also associated with a feeling of guilt? Usama, please.
Because of the fight you both had, and يعني, when you think of when someone's dead, you need to think of good memories, but the last memory they had was a bad memory.
Exactly. Okay, so his feelings at the funeral, he's very upset for his mother's loss. All right, he's not only upset or sad because of his mother's loss, but he's also having a feeling of guilt because again, the last time he saw her, they had this big argument, and he never made up with her. So when she passed away, she still had hard feelings for him. Okay, she wasn't really happy with what he was doing with his life. Okay, so he's very upset. There were a lot of wreaths delivered to the church. And the wreaths are basically flowers, or like a Christmas wreath, if you guys would know the circle that's made up of flowers that people hang on doors and so on for Christmas. That's a wreath. Okay. So at funerals, people also send flowers. Okay. And we saw that before when we were reading the names, the poem in grade 7. And we know that, for sad moments and for funerals and so on, people also use flowers in these occasions. So for grandma's death, a lot of wreaths were delivered, okay, to the church. And father was proud of the fact that one of them had been sent by the furry. Okay, so the furry acknowledged grandmother's death, and he sent a wreath to honor her death or to pay respects for her loss. All right. And of course, this made Ralph feel very honored that the furry himself would remember him on such event. Okay. Or actually, send him something for the loss of his mother. But when mother heard, she said that grandmother would turn in her grave if she knew it was there. Let's analyze the statement. Why would mom say that grandmother, first of all, what does it mean that grandmother would turn in her grave if she knew that this wreath was there? What does it mean to turn in her grave? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Nano.
people يعني that are not Muslims وكده they put them يعني الcover بيبقى متشال ف she wouldn't like to see flowers from such a person.
Okay, so the statement here by saying that grandmother would turn in her grave, it's symbolic for basically saying that she would be very uncomfortable. Okay, that means that grandma would be highly disappointed. Okay, this is not a comfortable feeling. Okay, when this is a figurative language, when somebody would turn in her grave, it suggests that this statement suggests that grandma would be angry or disappointed. Why? What would make grandma angry or disappointed? What does mom suggest? Kinsey, what would make grandma angry and disappointed to the point that she would turn in her grave?
Because she was not like the fairy.
Exactly. All right, we know her position regarding the furry. We know that does not approve of his ideologies and of everything that he's making her son do, and she believes that her son is a puppet for allowing himself to be controlled. All right. So if she knows that the furry sent flowers or a wreath to honor her death, then she would not be happy for it being there because she dislikes the furry. Okay. This is what this suggests. Okay. So she would not Okay, remember, she doesn't support these ideologies. All right. But of course, on the other hand, we see that Ralph feels completely different about these flowers. How does Ralph feel about the flowers that the furry sent? Hala, how does Ralph feel, Hala, about the flowers that the furry sent? Reem,
Um, mother.
say that again.
He feels proud that the fairy remembers about his mother.
Good job. All right, he feels proud that the furry acknowledged his mom's loss and sent him flowers for it.
Miss, Mrs.
Yes?
Mia, Hala's mic is not working.
Okay, thank you for telling me, Kinsey. Bruno felt almost glad when they returned to Atwith. This is, showing opposite emotions. Before, he would definitely be much happier about going back to Berlin. Now he's very happy about returning to Atwith and not so excited about returning to Berlin. So things have shifted for Bruno. Okay, the house there had become his home now, and he'd stopped worrying about the fact that it had only 3 floors rather than 5. And it did not bother him so much that the soldiers came and went as if they owned the place. It slowly dawned on him that things were not too bad after all, especially since he'd met Shmuel. He knew that there were many things he should be happy about, like the fact that father and mother seemed cheerful all the time now, and mother did not have to take as many of her afternoon naps or medicinal sherries. And Griddle was going through a phase, mother's words, and tended to keep out of his way. Okay, so these are some things that are making life in Atwith better. He has a better perspective about Atwith now for these reasons. Okay, so we need to remember them. All right, so his reasons for appreciating Atwith, and I want to stop here at something. Okay, mother has not been taking much of her afternoon naps or drinking her medicinal sherries. What is a medicinal sherry?
does she have depression or حاجة?
Thank you, Nano. Good. I'm glad you've pointed that out. Can you please explain why would you think so?
Because يعني she needs to feel assured or rested if she has like anxiety or depression.
Good. All right. So here we see that when people sleep a lot, usually it's a significance of um it's basically someone trying to escape reality, right? When people are really satisfied with what they're doing or their lives, they try to escape it through maybe sleeping or trying to not be conscious. And she's doing both. All right, number one, she's taking naps, okay, a lot of naps. So we can tell that she's not really satisfied with her life. And she's drinking medicinal sherries. And if you look up medicinal sherry, or what is a sherry is a Spanish wine. Okay, and again, wine is an alcoholic beverage. All right, and we know that usually alcoholic beverages they make people very unconscious. All right, and that's why they're really forbidden to be drunk because again, people become unaware of what they're doing and of their realities. Okay, so she's doing 2 things that highly suggest that she's not happy. All right. So pay attention to this because we're gonna see it later. Maybe things are going. Bruno again. He is young, so maybe he thinks that his parents are cheerful when they're really not. But he does realize something about mom that she's taking less naps now and she's not drinking as many medicinal sherries as she was before. However, this is Bruno's perspective. It could not be true, like many things that he sees that are not true. Okay? So this is why I said these are Bruno's reasons for appreciating Outwith. But it's very important to remember or to realize this about mom. Okay? So again, he thinks that mom and dad are cheerful. And he knows or he notices that Griddle is going through a phase. All right. And we know also as Bruno is maturing, Griddle is also maturing. So we know that she's going through a phase. And he explains that this phase is her way of leaving him alone or basically staying out of his business. Okay. Griddle is not being so much of a hopeless case. She's not annoying him as of course as much as she did before. And of course, the third reason and the most important one is definitely he matched. And this is why he likes or appreciates the Outwith. What do you learn about mom's behavior? You can explain again mom's behavior. Very
She
important.
needs to go to therapy.
مثلا in
What is
previous
she
chapters
doing?
in this,
Ali, what is mom starting to do that Bruno notices that she's doing? Ali?
She didn't have to take many afternoon naps as she usually did in Outwith, in Berlin, sorry.
No, she never took these naps in Berlin. He's saying that things are becoming better because she's not taking as many of them as she did. All right, but again, this was not in Berlin. In Berlin, things were much better. All right. So what do we learn about mom's behavior? Is that number one, she's taking afternoon naps. What else? And what is she drinking?
The medicinal cherries.
Good. And what did we say it's equivalent to? It's a Spanish wine or an alcoholic beverage. Why do you assume, or what can we infer about mom taking these naps and drinking these medicinal sherries? What can we infer about mom, her, how is she feeling?
she's diagnosed يعني
Fadia, please speak up.
she's diagnosed or like she's diagnosed with depression as mentioned.
Okay, so we can say that mom
Miss,
yes.
like when she used to take a lot of naps, okay, was that in Berlin?
No,
Before she came to
no. He's saying that things. Remember, guys, she was doing this in Outwith. He is saying that things are becoming better because she's not napping as much as she did before in Outwith. Okay, remember it's been a year in Outwith already. Okay, so he's not recalling things from Berlin. He's just saying that things are becoming a little better in Outwith because she's not sleeping as much as she used to. In Outwith still. Okay?
بس in previous chapters in this يعني the story has mentioned that يعني mom and descendant Cutler are hanging out يعني so much وكده.
Yes.
هو في جزء في الستوري هيبقى ليه علاقة بكده؟
Yes, that was mentioned previously when they listed the things that Bruno did not like about Lieutenant
Yes.
Cutler. That mom spends a lot of time with him. She laughs about all his jokes. She doesn't laugh with father the same way. But we did mention that this is not a romantic relationship. Years old. Lieutenant
Yes,
Cutler is very
I
young.
mean like هو هيبقى في part for the story يعني ليه علاقة بكده تاني ولا Because
No.
when I read it, I can remember and can.
Yes, they
Okay.
did mention that, like I said previously, when they're preparing for father's birthday party. But nothing is going to be mentioned about that again.
Okay.
Okay? And there's another reason, and we're going to mention that now, Yafadi, and you're going to understand why. It says here there was also the fact that Lieutenant Cotler had been transferred away from Outwith and was not around to make Bruno feel angry and upset all the time. His departure had come about very suddenly, and there had been a lot of shouting between father and mother about it late at night. But he was gone, that was for sure, and he was not coming back. Griddle was inconsolable. Inconsolable, it means to be so upset that no matter what anyone does, they cannot cheer you up. And we know, of course, that Griddle definitely had a liking for Lieutenant Cotler. All right. So now, again, the fourth and most important reason for Bruno to love Atwith now and think that it's tolerable, that who is gone, and who could explain to me why do you think he's gone? Why do you think he's gone, and why is it?
Because they know the father and his father is yeah, and he went to Switzerland because it's something related to the army.
That's right. Good. All right. So the fourth reason why Outwith is now becoming a beautiful place for Bruno is because, again, Lieutenant Cotler, I'm going to abbreviate, is gone. All right. And he has been transferred and will not return to Outwith. And again, we can tell and we can understand that this is due to the fact that his father is imposing. All right. And this is about the dinner. If you guys remember the conversation over dinner between Lieutenant Cotler and father, when father learned that Lieutenant Cotler's father had traveled to Switzerland at a time where Germany needed its citizens the most, which implied that he probably most likely did not agree with what the furry's doing. He's one of the cowards, quote unquote, that did not agree with what Hitler was doing at the time. Okay, and this is why he moved to Switzerland and moved his job there and his life there. Okay, so again, move or transfer. Who did it upset? Who are the two people that it bothered? Who did it bother? Nano.
What was the question again?
Lieutenant Cotler's transfer. Who did it upset?
لا مش عارفة. Father?
You think father would be upset?
Written?
Or was father angry? Or was father
Miss, can I say-
furious?
Written, yeah, miss.
Sorry.
Written. Written.
Please, can we raise our hands, ladies and gentlemen? Judy.
Gretel?
Definitely Griddle. Griddle was
And-
definitely upset.
Mm.
Why do you think
And-
Griddle would be upset, Judy?
Because she liked Lieutenant Cutler.
All right, she liked him. We got that from her, from how she behaved, and every time remarking about her age and that she's older so that she could be more suitable for him. How she laughed at every single joke he does. So his transfer probably made her upset. And we said that Griddle was inconsolable. All right, inconsolable means no matter how much you try to make her feel better, it's just impossible. Okay, and who was the second person that argued about his transfer? That did not probably want him to be transferred? Judy.
I'm not sure, but I think his mother.
Bruno's mom.
Bruno's mother.
Definitely.
Oh.
Good job. All right, it says here, we just read it here, that father and mother, Bruno heard shouting between father and mother about it late at night. Okay, but again, we can understand again, Bruno's mom had a very close relationship with Lieutenant Cotler. Talking to him and you could tell that he he was maybe someone that she confided in to speak with and so on. All right, so Bruno's mom also was upset about this. Okay, so Bruno heard mom and dad shouting at night over this topic. So we can assume, or we could infer that mom was probably defending Lieutenant Cutler, or maybe arguing with father about the fact that he should not transfer him, or he should not be punished for what his
Miss-
father believes or thinks. Yes.
Why was he transferred again?
Remember over the dinner, and he had mentioned that his father moved to Switzerland, and father Ralph became very infuriated because his father decided to leave Germany at a time where it needs its people, and he suggested that time, and he asked him, was your father a coward, that he was one of those cowards that were anti-Hitler? So again, father told Lieutenant Cutler that he should tell his superiors about this conflict, and that he were going to discuss it later. So we knew that father really was not happy with Lieutenant Cutler because of his father's position. Okay, Judy?
Okay, yes, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so again, he's happy. Bruno's happy that Lieutenant Cutler is gone. No one is going to bother him. That was something else to be happy about. No one called him little man anymore. Okay, so one of the things that bothered him. But the best thing was that he had a friend called Shmuel. He enjoyed walking along the fence every afternoon and was pleased to see that his friend seemed a lot happier these days, and his eyes did not seem so sunken, although his body was still ridiculously skinny and his face unpleasantly gray. One day, while sitting opposite him at their usual place, Bruno remarked, "This is the strangest friendship I've ever had." "Why?" asked Shmuel. "Because every other boy I've ever been friends with has been someone that I have been able to play with," he replied, "and we never get to play together. All we get to do is sit here and talk." All right, and this is correct. Usually, little young boys, they're very active and they enjoy basically, playing together and stuff like that. So Bruno considers his friendship with Shmuel strange. Why? What is the reason he gives for calling his friendship with Shmuel a strange friendship? Hannah Durham, please explain. Say that again. Hello? Hannah? Hannah Durham, are you there?
But can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, nice. Every Bruno, every friend that he had, he always play with you.
Okay. And his friendship with Shmuel how is it different?
Sitting and talking.
Good. They never get a chance to talk. I mean, to play, to physically play. All their friendship is only based on speaking and just talking and sharing stories and experiences. Okay? Good.